Canadians love loyalty programs. They love, love, love loyalty programs. And these programs are almost always a win for the marketers. The marketers will almost always win. But how do you make sure, or at least up the probability, that they are a win for you, the consumer? To win, you kind of got to learn how to play the game. And there's nobody better to talk about this than Barry Choi. He's a personal finance expert. He's been focused on the loyalty area for years and years and years. And he's here to talk about some of the rules and his tips for how to win. Hello there, Barry.
Good to be back, my friend.
I have a conflicted relationship with loyalty programs because I used to work in marketing, right? So I
Yeah.
know how they work from that side. And as I say, marketers always win. They use our love of loyalty programs to sell us more stuff, more benefits. It's for their benefit, not for our benefit. You, I think, have a gentler view. You are a big advocate of people making the most of these programs.
I'm actually 100% with you. It benefits the marketers more than anything else. But my view is if you're not playing the game, you're essentially giving your money to them anyways, because any brand has priced in the cost of loyalty. But at the same time, there's always some parts of loyalty where are more beneficial to you than others. The marketers are just banking that the majority of the public aren't taking advantage of this. That's why you want to be on the side that's actually making money. And unfortunately for the others, they're losing money.
One of the biggest missteps people make is trying to play the game everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
trying to be an Olympian in every single sport in both the summer and winter Olympics. You'd say you got to choose and focus. How many
Yeah.
programs are ideal, do you think?
Generally speaking, I would say get to know 2 to 3 programs inside out. One gas, one grocery, one travel. Very simple when you think about it. And if you can get all three to complement each other in one way or another, kind of like if they earn the same points or they can mix and match, then it's very beneficial. And obviously there are some backups you want to have. If you're trying to reach a specific goal, like say you're trying to travel to a destination and you know that certain airlines loyalty program will get you there. So you can use that as your goal and earn those points, but at the same time, focus on something else. So just to give you a quick example, WestJet is really, really big in Alberta for obvious reasons. That's their main hub. So if you live in Alberta, you usually want to fly WestJet. Their program is actually garbage, but their credit card is good in the sense that you get a free companion voucher every year. So if you got kids or a spouse, you can just travel wherever. But if you want to travel really far, you actually want to focus on Aeroplan, which is Air Canada's benefits, simply because Air Canada flies to more destinations and your points get you a lot further. So there's nothing wrong with going with 2 different loyalty programs, but you need to have a defined goal in mind.
Mm. What about Avion? So I'm thinking
Mhm.
about the third one, at least that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
that's agnostic or it's less relevant which airline you fly.
Yeah. So Avion to me is like number 2 in the general bank loyalty programs. Number 1 being American Express, even though their cards aren't accepted everywhere, but mainly because American Express has the most flexibility. You can use your points on any travel purchase. In fact, any purchase you make, doesn't matter if it's like a grocery store or travel, you can use your points. But they also have transfer partners in Aeroplan and Mirror Bonvoy, and those are 2 of the biggest airlines and hotels Canadians have access. Now, RBC Avion, also an excellent program because they have some transfer partners such as British Airways and WestJet. You can use your points on any travel booked on RBC. But here's one thing, Bruce, that a lot of people don't know. RBC points, you can actually use them for financial rewards. So if you bank with RBC and you have TFSA, RSP, or even mortgage, you can actually use your points towards those. So it's funny because when you use your points towards a financial reward, it's less value than travel immediately. But as we both know, compound interest over 20 or 30 years, those rewards could actually be worth much, much, much more. So it really depends on what you're looking for.
What do you think people need to know about their own spending patterns before they choose that program? Like if you're a commuter, a gas program
Mhm.
matters less. If you've got a
Yeah.
family of 6, groceries matter a lot more.
So to me, it's like looking at where you're making your daily purchases more than anything else, because some grocery stores don't take American Express and some do, right? So if generally speaking, American Express, they have the best credit cards. They just do. It's a fact. They have the highest multipliers, they have the best benefits. And again, we are talking earlier how you could transfer those points. So if you can take advantage of that, great. But at the same time, if you can't, then you want to focus on where you can use your credit cards to earn those points. But let's be very clear, these loyalty points, they hook you, especially these days with apps. They're giving you offers, they're constantly sending you notifications to get you to spend more. So you don't want to spend outside of your comfort zone, but if you're using them to like just do your regular spending, taking advantage of offers when they're available, especially with gas stations these days, there's always offers. you can get a lot back. I was just in a mall and there's Canadian Tire there, and their loyalty program, they're like, oh, if you use your credit card back on this day, you get 30 times the points, which is 12% cash back in
Wow.
points. So to me, I've just trained myself. It's like, I know this offer is going to come once every 2 months. So if I need to buy something big, like I bought my daughter a bike earlier this year. So it's like, got 12% back in points. But again, that is not a normal consumer. I am not normal, but that kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with your points.
The grocery retailer whose app I have on my phone has
Hmm.
this prompt to say, download your offers.
Hmm.
I never am going to do that. I open up the app to show them the UPs, the little scan code when
Yeah.
I'm in the growth, but I'm not doing anything else. I am not modifying which brand of product I buy to get another couple of points. I'm just not going to do it because as a
Yeah.
marketer, I know that is not in my best interest. What are the loyalty programs trying to do to get me to open that app and engage with that app more frequently?
I think it's the wording, exactly what you said. So you've said that download is not a word you're responding to, and it's complete lie because you don't actually have to download. You just got to open the app, and this applies to any of them, right? Or you got to like some of them will be like you have to load your offers, right? But they can also see who's loading their offers and who's not clicking because there's just so much data available now. And then once they realize you're not reacting to download, they're going to send you something else to just figure you out more
Right.
than anything
Right.
else, right? But in the end, to me, it comes down to like you were saying, get to know the loyalty program and see what makes sense to you. So when I was saying get to know your 2 or 3 loyalty programs, if you have to open the app to get the offers, then of course you should open up the app and get them, right? Like I was saying, with some stores, I'm trained to know what discount days they are, so I will wait for them. So you can use them to your advantage. Another big grocery store in Canada, they're partnered with a drugstore, and that drugstore has a lot of bonus redemption events where your points are worth significantly more. I like to save my points for that. But even something funny is they're also partnered with a certain gas station. And if you redeem your points for a car wash, they're actually double the value compared to
Hmm.
groceries. So again, small things. But in the winter, I like having a nice clean car. So it's just knowing that I'm getting double the value makes me feel a little bit better
Right.
personally, right?
So there's all the things you need to learn on the earn.
Yep.
What are some things that people should learn on the spend front? And I will say,
Yeah.
it feels like points are easier to spend now than they would have been 5 years ago. I don't know if that's accurate or if it's just my experience.
It is 100% accurate, and I do feel like the public had a lot to say to this because quite often, a few loyalty programs, they would make them expire your points if you didn't use them, or there are limited options, blackout dates. And there is so much consumer backlash from the media, people like you and me who have talked about this over the years. These loyalty programs have actually learned. But quick sidebar, like I find with loyalty programs, you know who's run by a banker and who's run by one who actually cares about loyalty. It's very obvious right away because some people go into this business because they just really enjoy loyalty, and some people are bankers who want to make money. But from the burn side, strictly speaking, it's generally a straightforward formula. All you really got to do is figure out how much value you're getting from regardless of what you're redeeming, and then how many points it's costing you. So that's called a cost per point. And the higher the cost per point, the better your value. But in most cases, and this should sound obvious, like if you're part of a travel program, you get better value with travel. Same with groceries, right? Where they really start to get you is gift cards, merchandise, and it really devalues it. And here's a good thing. Like I write for a major newspaper in Canada. I wrote about membership rewards from American Express. And a reader wrote into me and said, hey, Barry, like, I don't like this points game. What I like to do is redeem my points for gift cards. And it makes sense in theory, right? Because they can use it on whatever. And I informed this reader that it's like, you're actually devaluing your points twice because number one, American Express, you can transfer your points to Aeroplan at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you could just redeem it via Aeroplan and you get a really high value. Number two, with American Express, like I said earlier, you can redeem your points on any purchase. So you could just buy whatever ticket you wanted and just redeem your points straightforward. But by redeeming your points for a gift card, he actually devalued it by more than 50%. And straight up, and this is the burn side, he just didn't know. He was very happy that I informed him. He's like, I'm never making this mistake again. I'm glad you told me. But they don't always make it obvious. But at the same time, it is on us a little bit. I think consumers really need to understand this. It's no different when if you're shopping for a mortgage or getting a bank account, you're looking for the best deal, and you should do the same with loyalty points.
What's the best online resource to answer the question, should I pay with cash or should I pay with points? Because I've got sort of like, I book flights. That's how I
Yeah.
use my travel points, is booking flights. Sometimes it makes a ton of sense to use
Yeah.
your points. Sometimes it makes no sense to use your
Yeah,
points.
this is the tricky part because it really comes down to individual loyalty programs. So generally speaking, with Aeroplan, I recommend get a value of at least 1.5. So you take the cash value, subtract any taxes from the redemption, you multiply that by 100, and then you divide it by the number of points required. That gives you that CPP we're talking about. But you really kind of need to do your research. So for Marriott Bonvoy, I personally consider the value to be zero point 0.8 cents each, and then it's up to you. But sometimes, honestly, Bruce, if you earn a lot of points and you're not maximizing, but you're still getting a decent value that you're personally happy with, that you're getting a free trip with your family, you're getting half the flights, so like there's something to complain about that because technically we've paid for it, but the redeeming part of
Yeah.
size is a lot of fun and it feels really good sometimes.
There's a whole movement for us to declutter, for us to spark joy, for us to
Yeah.
get more organized. Some people have, I don't know what you call them in the industry, call them orphan points. Like there's a program or like, I don't know, I signed up for it and they
Yeah.
send me an email. I have a stupid amount of points that are not going to do anything.
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
So it really depends on the situation, and I'll be honest, I'm very guilty of this. I collected Asian airline points one time because they flew to Toronto. My whole idea was like, oh, I'll fly my parents back to Hong Kong one day. And then when it actually came to making redemption, I realized like they don't make any availability whatsoever. Like it was like so difficult, so I actually let those go. But I would say for people, and this is kind of why I advise people to stick to two and three because you don't want too many programs because it's too easy to lose track of these points, and then you basically lost the value. But if you understand two or three programs, just understand when they're going to expire. Generally speaking, most programs, if there's no account activity within 18 to 24 months, they will expire. So either earn 1 point, transfer a point from a different program, donate some to charity to keep your account active.
Right.
But let's just say you're a power user, you just do a lot of natural spending, you own a business, you've got a ton of Aeroplan, RBC, whatever points. There are actually quite a few Canadian companies out there that will basically consult on your behalf. You tell them what you're looking for, how many points you have, and obviously they charge you for it.
Yeah.
But the difference could be thousands of dollars, right? They could be able to find you a business class flight that you wouldn't be able to find on your own. And even if you try to do it on your own, the amount of time spent, like to me, $250 spent for that kind of service per hour is good value if I'm getting this business class flight to a bucket list destination. It is a game to me, and I find that once you educate people, and kind of just like what you and I were talking about here, it doesn't have to be complicated. I just want
Yeah.
people to understand that marketers are out not to get you, but they want your data. And if you're going to get something worthwhile, you want to make it worth your while, and you want to make sure you're getting those redemptions. And it's not just the points. You know, you get a credit card, and there's a lot of benefits that come with them, like travel insurance. So if you've already got this benefit, why would you pay again for it? That
Yeah.
said, if you're like over the age of 55, it might make sense to purchase travel insurance because the ones that come with a credit card aren't good enough. And
Right.
unfortunately, most people do not realize this. There's a lot of fine print, and it's for experts like you and I to explain to the general public what makes sense
Really helpful.
to them.
Really helpful stuff. Barry, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, anytime.
Barry Choi, personal finance expert, travel expert too. His passion is points, and we're grateful that he brought his wisdom and experience to us on this conversation about winning the points game.